Americans. Mr. Garlett, the administration is attempting to cause a mass exodus from our federal workforce. Will this increase or decrease waste, fraud, and abuse?
Thank you, Delegate Norton. I think it's pretty clear that chaos is not the friend of efficiency. If you undermine the very functionality of the government, you're not going to make it more efficient. You're going to make it worse. And it's going to cost even more money to recoup or to fix things that go wrong in the interim. So again, I mentioned earlier that if you care about waste, fraud, and abuse, firing Inspector General doesn't add up. I think if you care about government being more efficient, I think intentionally creating chaos is the opposite of that.
Well, Mr. Hedler Gauntlet, do federal employees operate without oversight or rules and regulations?
No, absolutely not. They are governed by plenty of rules and regulations. And when there are independent inspector general at the agency they're supposed to be at, they also have a cop on the beat making sure that they do so.
I want to highlight some stories demonstrating exactly the kinds of federal workers the administration is trying to force out. Uh, how about Chris Mark at the Department of Labor, whose pioneering work on mine safety has reduced minor safety deaths from roof collapses to almost zero today? Or Jared Koopman at the Internal Revenue Service, who pioneered uh, new methods for tracking criminal cybersecurity currency transactions that led to the rescue of 23 children from rape and assault, as well as the seizure of hundreds of millions of child abuse videos and 370 pedophile arrests. This work also prevented funding from going to terrorist groups. Or Ronald E. Walters, who manages the 155 national cemeteries around the country and tends to the resting places of almost 4 million veterans. These are just a few of the federal workers who serve Americans every day. The workers are wildland firefighters, border guards, doctors, nurses, food inspectors, air traffic controllers, and law enforcement that do their civic duty, often despite the fact that they could make such more in the private sector. Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentlelady yields. I now yield to the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Jack.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I want to also thank you for convening this hearing. I think it's incredibly important. And I want to thank our witnesses for appearing before us today. Like another member of this committee, I too was once an employee of the Executive Office of the President. I worked in President Trump's White House from the very first to very last day of his first term, and I saw firsthand how entrenched and resistant the federal bureaucracy was to his agenda. So it's no surprise that today a few of my Democrat colleagues have continued that trend by using their time to bash Elon Musk instead of discussing ways to work together to advance a bipartisan cornerstone of President Trump's agenda, the mission to finally eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. And I just took a rudimentary count of the Dems' testimony, or rather comments today, and I've got 27 mentions of Elon Musk and 3 mentions of waste. And I don't know if that's, in fact, the right count. Encourage anybody to fact check me, but I think it illuminates and illustrates one of the problems that we're facing, which is a lack of bipartisan effort to address these critical things that, waste, fraud, and abuse is something that should be bipartisan. The chair noted that in her opening remarks. Now, Madam Chair, you know how much I enjoy studying public opinion. So with your approval, I'd like to enter into the record the CBS News poll from this past weekend, conducted February 5th to 7th, 2025. And I'd also like to illuminate 2 findings. First, 70% of Americans, Democrats and Republicans included, believe President Trump is already doing the job that he was elected to do, which is interesting because I have an article here from CNN from September 2024 that notes Trump says Elon Musk has agreed to lead proposed government efficiency commission as ex-president unveils new economic plans. So he is doing exactly what he said he would do by empowering his administration to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here today. I'd also like to note one interesting statistic from that. 62% of Americans want Democrats in Congress to work with us to advance the priorities that President Trump was elected to govern on. So I think those are two stats that I hope everyone pays attention to. But to ask questions of our witnesses, I'd first like to start with Mr. Talcove. You know, one of the things that I've found very interesting from your opening testimony is you talked, and I think you engaged with Mr. Burchett on the 1974 Privacy Act. And I had some interesting folks visit my office yesterday who noted that 1/3 of all prior authorizations are still done manually by phone, fax, or direct post mail. First off, would love your comments on that, and I'd also like for you to expound upon some of the solutions that we can deliver to this Congress in modernizing that 1974 Privacy Act.
Yeah, these aren't people problems. These are technology problems. You can't process the number of individuals that are accessing our systems person by person. It just takes too much time. So by updating the 1974 Privacy Act and allowing for digital matching, you would have very quickly realized that a large portion of the PPP loan funds were going to the wrong person. You would have been quickly able to match, and I think the number was 20% were on the do not pay list. You can't expect people to do what a machine, and especially AI, can do today.
Fair enough. Thank you very much for that. And if I can also ask Mr. Whitson, I think we share a common interest, which is to move departments and agencies outside of Washington, D.C. It's something that I campaigned on, something that I helped President Trump effectuate in his first administration. And I have to imagine that if we have departments and agencies outside of D.C., if we've got a workforce that's more reflective of the balance that America is, we at the same time too could potentially root out some of this waste, fraud, and abuse by enabling other Americans, other citizens of our country to help advance some of these issues. So would love your commentary on that before my time expires.
No, I think you're exactly right, Congressman Jack. And so I think, you'd save a lot of taxpayer money. So building a headquarters in downtown DC versus Huntsville, Alabama, you're going to be able to save a lot of money. Number two is you're actually going to make life better for the employees as well. So that's a point that's also missed a lot, but commuting into DC versus being able to go somewhere else where it's a better cost of living and things like that might be better for the folks. And then lastly, these areas where you set up a headquarters are going to be populated by people that live in the area to fill the rank and file of staff positions. And so if you plant these federal agency headquarters in the heart of any area that's overwhelmingly one party or the other, then you're going to naturally get that sway versus something that's more representative of the people as a whole.
Well, thank you very much, our witnesses. Mindful of my time, I want to finish before my time expires. I yield back to our chairwoman, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Thank you.
And
Without-
Chairwoman, I would like to ask for unanimous consent to enter something into the record.
So what is it?
It is a report from the Congressional Research Service, nonpartisan CRS, that lays out the rules and the law for firing inspectors general, which of course look into waste, fraud, and abuse. And that
Without
that rule-
objection.
Thank you. And that rule requires for the law to be followed, for Congress to be notified with 30 days and a reason for firing inspectors general to give Congress a chance to overrule that. And that's the law. So thank you for entering that into the record.
Madam Chair.
Without objection, the materials Mr. Jack cited are also submitted for the record. I now recognize.
Apologies. And while we're on it, I'd also like to ask for unanimous consent to submit for the record 2 items. One is a statement from the AFL-CIO, Department of People who work for a living with views on working people to make the government work. And the second is a statement from the Center for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington on ways to combat waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government.
Without objection, so ordered. I now recognize the gentlelady from New Mexico and ranking member Ms. Stansbury for 5 minutes.
All right. Well, thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you once again to all of our witnesses for being here to testify. Thank you to my colleagues. We are going to have so much fun in this committee, this Congress. I actually appreciate the video that was shown just a few moments ago because when I worked at the Office of Management and Budget, I actually worked on the waste EO that was referenced that President Obama signed But there is one fundamental difference between the presidents and vice presidents that were shown on that video and what's happening today, and that is that they followed the law. So, my colleagues across the aisle who are asking us to get out of the way and stop trying to block things in the courts, let me tell you, we do not work for an unelected billionaire like apparently this guy does. We work for the American people. And so, if an unelected, unvetted individual private citizen is hacking our government systems, breaking the law, firing federal employees, dismantling statutorily created agencies, withholding funds, we are going to fight you in the courts. And I'm actually really sad that my dear friend Mr. Burchett left, because I want to talk about that gravy train on biscuit wheels that he just talked about, because that gravy train is not the federal workforce. It's the billionaires that are trying to hack that system right now, and which unfortunately my colleagues right now are working on a reconciliation deal to cut Medicaid, to cut Medicare, and use that money to give to tax breaks to their billionaire buddies. That is the gravy train that is actually going on here. But because this is the oversight committee, let's do a little bit of oversight. For the last several weeks, I've been talking to Treasury and OMB officials to try to get to the bottom of why Elon Musk and his team are trying to hack the Treasury payment system. Because this is a completely nonpartisan system that literally just pays the bills of the federal government. So why are they so eager to hack this system? And I have to say that over the last several weeks, we have literally received thousands of calls in every single congressional office. In fact, we know that our friends across the aisle are also receiving these calls because this system pays the bills of the US government. It pays our soldiers. It pays for the work that we do overseas. It pays your Social Security benefits. It pays your tax refunds. So why is Elon Musk and his hackers trying to access that system? And why did a senior civil servant who had overseen this system for over 30 years get asked to stand down after a 25-year-old intern working for Elon Musk tried to get access to the code for that system? Now, thankfully, they were shut down in the court system, but Musk has installed, with the president's blessing, one of his Silicon Valley buddies, who I want to point out, in which the media has not paid a lot of attention to, is the CEO of a private IT company, including Citrix, that has millions of dollars in IT contracts with the federal government. And not only is he still operating as the installed Doge person at Treasury, he's actively still the CEO of this private company. How is that even legal? Is it legal? I don't think it's legal, because the federal court is trying to shut this down. We also know that that 25-year-old software engineer, in violation of the court order, was actually given access to modify the code. So what is going on here? And why is this such a threat to the American people? Why are thousands of people calling us? It's because of the size and the significance of these payments, because it is an invasion of the privacy and security of the American people, because it could threaten our ability as a country if there was a default in the debt ceiling, and because it contains highly classified information that our foreign adversaries are trying to cyber attack us regularly for. So why is a private citizen being given access to this system? We know they're trying to shut down payments. They're trying to shut down agencies. What's next? Are they going to shut down your Social Security payments? We don't know, because they have no oversight, and Elon Musk will not come in front of this committee. And in fact, the Treasury folks are saying this is the biggest insider threat they've ever seen in the history of the agency. So we are sounding the alarm. And no matter how many executive orders that Donald Trump signs, or how many tweets that the VP sends, you cannot rewrite the Constitution, and we are going to hold you to account. I yield back.
The gentlelady yields, and I now recognize, oh, yes.
I have 3 documents I want to submit for the record. The
What are
first document is the Constitution, Article 2. I would like to submit that for the record. That clearly spells out the president's authority. I would also like to submit for the record 5 U.S. Code 3161. the employment compensation of employees, which clearly spells out his authority to create Doge. And then I want to submit for the record the executive order that Trump issued on January 20th of 2025, establishing Doge officially.
Without objection, so ordered. I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gill, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for hosting this committee. If we've learned anything so far, it's that Republicans want to cut waste, fraud, and abuse from our federal government and save taxpayer dollars, and Democrats want to grandstand and play politics. We can see right now, even of the 6 Democrats on this committee, only 1 can even be bothered to stay for the duration of this hearing. All we've heard about for most of this hearing from the other side of the aisle is Elon Musk, Elon Musk, Elon Musk, unelected bureaucrat. And I'd like to ask if Democrats really care about unelected bureaucrats making decisions over our lives, where were they whenever their god, Anthony Fauci, was forcing vaccine and mask mandates on the American people for 4 years during the, during the COVID crisis? Where were they whenever unelected Alejandro Mayorkas was facilitating the invasion of our country by illegal aliens who were murdering and raping and pillaging our people? Where were they whenever the Secretary of Education, unelected Cardona, targeted states and schools and people who were disagreed with his view of the radical left's transgender ideology? Where were they whenever Gary Gensler, former chairman of the SEC, also unelected, was lawlessly thwarting the development of financial markets, particularly in the crypto space, by lawlessly pursuing regulation via enforcement? They were nowhere to be seen because they don't care, because all of those things benefited their side of the aisle at the expense of ours. And perhaps that's also why they don't seem to be very interested in rooting out improper payments from our federal government. If you wonder why so many people are cynical about American politics, this is it. This is exactly why. The reality is that Elon Musk serves as an employee of the president, and we were given a massive mandate to carry out what he's been doing. His job is to carry out the will of the American people as expressed through the executive. That's exactly how the Constitution is supposed to work. The Constitution did not create an unelected, unaccountable 4th branch of government in the administrative state. The American people know this. My colleague Brian Jack discussed some of the opinion polls recently. We are doing, and President Trump is doing exactly what he was elected to do. And that's why he's polling at a 53% approval rating, higher than he was at any point during his first administration. Even Elon Musk and his Doge efforts now are polling at a 49% approval rating, which, just to point out, is 16 points higher than President Biden was polling at whenever he finished his term in office. The Democrat Party has for decades systematically grown and weaponized the administrative state against the American people, and the American people have had enough of it. Right now, we're talking about $2.7 trillion in improper payments since 2003. We're uncovering what could be the biggest money laundering scandal in American history. And the other side of the aisle could care less. They have no concern about where this money went, to what entities it went, to what governments, to what people or groups. Nothing. All they want to talk about is Elon Musk incessantly. So it does make me wonder, if they don't care about where it's going, do they have an idea? Because what we've uncovered so far is that so much of the waste, fraud, and abuse of our federal government is actually funding their side of the aisle. It's funding media outlets that are running cover for Democrats routinely. The NPR, PBS, the BBC, Politico. It's going to fund left-wing NGOs that are facilitating the invasion of our country. It's going to fund left-wing transgender activism and sex changes all over the globe. This is money that's being used, taken from the American people and used against their interests. If you care about rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, we should be serious about this. I'm very excited to be on this committee. I'm excited to expose what's being going on. Thank you, Madam Chair, and with that, I yield.
The gentleman yields. In closing, I want to thank our witnesses again for their testimonies today. I now yield to the ranking member for closing remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Well, I never thought so many conspiracy theories and wild accusations could be wound into one 5-minute speech, but I appreciate my friends across the aisle. First of all, let's talk about this massive mandate that supposedly brought Donald Trump into office. Donald Trump did not run on putting an unelected billionaire in charge of dismantling the federal government. He ran on lowering prices for Americans. And I think it's interesting that while we're sitting here this morning, the top of the New York Times is reporting that inflation has risen unexpectedly as food and energy prices have soared. What's going on, guys? I thought you were going to tackle inflation and food and energy prices. Isn't that what the executive orders were supposed to do? Oh, wait. Or is dismantling diversity, equity, and inclusion in our federal agencies and putting an ideological agenda and trying to fire the federal workforce your actual agenda? Have you been too busy trying to actually address the fiscal health of this country? Because the numbers are telling us that you have. So let's be real about what's going on here. I also want to point out that literally while we've been sitting here for the last almost 2 hours getting lectured on fiscal responsibility, literally the Republicans just released their plan to raise the debt limit while we were sitting here. And they want to raise it by $4 trillion. Okay, guys, like literally, I'm just like without words. Inflation is going up. You want to raise the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. You want to gut Medicare. You want to gut Medicaid. You're talking about going after Social Security after promising that you wouldn't. I mean, really, what the heck is going on here? We're not trying to take down Elon Musk as a businessman. This dude is literally breaking the law inside of the federal government. And for a party that is supposed to be the party of law and order, in quotes, I really do not see you holding him accountable and doing your most basic constitutional responsibility in the separation of powers. So I want to end where I started. We are the Oversight Committee. We are the People's House for the United States of America. We represent the American people. And so, Mr. Elon Musk, if you would like to appear in front of the Oversight Committee, you have been duly invited. Please come tell us what you're doing. Come testify in front of the American people. And please come hold yourself to account. With that, I yield back.
The gentlelady yields. I now recognize myself for closing remarks. President Trump was elected with a mandate to rein in unaccountable bureaucracy in Washington and to wage war on waste. I know that because I campaigned alongside him, and so did my colleagues. This hearing was the first battle of that war, and in the coming days, the subcommittee will release a report with legislative solutions to the problems we have identified here today. We aren't going to wait all the way until the end of this Congress. We're going to get to work immediately. The bureaucrats who have run Washington for decades are beyond the point of forgiveness. Their sheer incompetence and pure spite for the hardworking American people have resulted in total failure. The federal government has made over $2.7 trillion in improper payments since 2003. Including $236 billion in 2023 alone. Those are trillions of dollars that honest Americans have paid in taxes at gunpoint over the years. As we approach April 15th, Americans are once again preparing to do their taxes and fork over their unfair share of money it takes to run this country. And I have to tell you, the American people have not been getting their money's worth for a long time. Most improper payments in recent years were issued through 5 programs: Medicare, Medicaid, the Earned Income Tax Credit, Pandemic Unemployment Insurance, and the Paycheck Protection Program. But a total of 16 federal programs had improper payment rates of 10% or more in 2023. That includes SNAP, the federal food stamp program, which paid out 10 billion taxpayer dollars improperly. To get their arms around this problem, Elon Musk and the Doge team went straight to the source. They went to the Treasury Department's Fiscal Service, which makes about 90% of the trillions in federal payments issued annually. The audit of these payment systems was long overdue. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent gave Doge employees working for the government read-only access to these systems so they could conduct that initial audit. That audit is already paying dividends. Musk learned that the databases federal agencies are supposed to check to prevent payments to fraudsters, crime rings, and dead people are not being kept up to date. Going forward, we are going to get more mileage out of these do not pay databases. That means fewer improper payments and less fraud and waste of taxpayer dollars. Despite this fraud that's already been revealed, a federal judge in New York issued a ruling last Friday that ran totally contrary to the will of the people. The judge blocked not only Doge, but the Treasury Secretary himself from accessing his own agency's payment systems. That's absurd. Only career Treasury Department unelected bureaucrats can access the system, the judge ruled. This turns the Constitution on its head. We will hold this judge and others who try to stop the will of the people and their elected leaders accountable. As is written in the Federalist Papers, the judiciary has no influence over either the sword or the purse, no direction either of the strength or the wealth of the society. It may truly be said to have neither force nor will, but merely judgment, and must ultimately depend upon the aid of the executive arm for the efficacy of its judgments. But the whole DC swamp is freaking out that the unelected officials from Doge were allowed access to these systems. That makes no sense. Federal judges were not elected. The Treasury bureaucrats were not elected, and they have failed to fix the problem that is enabling American taxpayers to be robbed. So why not bring in skilled outside experts like private companies and private citizens who are successful in the real world to do everyday work that we need to get done here, like audits? Of course, federal payment systems are only one link in the improper payment chain. We need to look at other links in the chain. We need better front-end identify verification to screen out fraudsters, and we need to close eligibility loopholes. That means not letting applicants self-attest to their own eligibility. And it means ending categorical eligibility, which lets someone who fraudulently qualifies for one federal benefit automatically get other federal benefits. Finally, we need to better coordinate fraud prevention efforts between federal governments and the states. These are all issues that we will be taking a hard look at in this committee and coming up with solutions to, including legislation and referrals to committees of jurisdiction that will deliver for the American people. With that and without objection, all members have 5 legislative days within which to submit materials and additional written questions for the witnesses, which will be forwarded to the witnesses. If there is no further business without objection, the subcommittee stands adjourned.
All right, everybody. So they just concluded the Doge hearing, and the Democrats, they promised that they were going to bring the fire, and so they did. This is the Will Johnson Show. He will be joining us in just a moment. But if you're watching, you just heard the Democrats, they want Elon Musk. They want him to come in and answer the questions that they have. But honestly, just like every single other hearing they have, they aren't really wanting to work with this committee. They aren't willing to work with Doge. We've had some that say they have no interest in finding the bureaucracy and the issues that we have in our government. And it's interesting to see what is going to happen going forward. I think that Marjorie Taylor Greene, this is her first time heading a hearing. I thought she did a relatively good job. It wasn't as firish as I thought it was going to be, but just like one of the congressmen said, there's Will, he said that the Democrats, and this is what they normally do in hearing, they come in, they do their little speech, and they walk out. They're not interested, even though they're a part of this committee, they're not interested in hearing what the Republicans have to say. They're not interested in what the motivations are of Elon Musk and Doge. They only want to sabotage what Trump is doing. They want business as usual in our government, which we know that the mass majority of Americans voted Trump in to get rid of the business as usual. They want to get rid of the bureaucracy. They want to start trusting our FBI and DOJ, right? So they did get a mandate. It's going to be interesting what happens with this committee going forward.
Oh, I think I muted. There we go. Yep. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. What an interesting time to be alive. We're seeing so much going down right now. So much happening. All right. So the Democrats, or the way I refer to them, the Demoncrats, they're lost their everlasting mind, and they're all upset about what's happening. Okay. So
don't you think it's crazy though? Will they wouldn't even stay. I mean, just like one of the congressmen said, he's like, they won't even stay and listen for the hearing. They come in. So what is their, if they're not going to actually participate in the full hearing of Doge, why even be a part of the committee? It's so frustrating. If you're not going to sit there and do the work in a bipartisan way, if you're only going to come in and showboat and walk out, then why be a part of it?
Well, the whole point of them doing this is to shut down Doge. That's the reason why the Democrats were there.
Yeah, for sure.
Their whole purpose was to shut down Doge and try to say that Doge is a fraudulent organization under President Trump, which is not. The Republicans actually showed how where Obama was in office, and I'm glad they did that. I don't know if you were tuned in at that time, but I'm glad they did that. They actually showed where Obama created the organization that is now named as Doge. And it was the digital services or something. I can't remember exactly. I don't know why I can't remember that. But it was like a digital services or something like that.
Yeah, so it's not a new organization.
It's not new at all.
It just was renamed by Trump.
Yeah, it's not new at all.
But the purpose.
He rebranded it basically and have, people who's actually going to do the work. And of course, after seeing it actually going in effect, they're all saying that it was fraudulent. The Democrats are out there saying that Elon Musk is hacking the system. I mean, you can't make this up. It's the most idiotic thing you can hear from Democrats. Elon Musk is hacking the system. He's tearing the system up. And then some of them, Maxine Waters was saying that President Trump said, Elon Musk, you can have the government, just give me a price. They lie. They're making up stuff. And you know the reason why they do this? Because they know that the people that listen to them will get emotional about it. And they won't want to hear the truth about any of it. And the Democrats know they've been manipulating people for the longest. Now, I do have some stuff on this I want to talk about, but I want to share something that I shared last night. And this is going everywhere. And I want to make sure people are aware of what happened. Do you know who Congresswoman Presley is? Do you know who that is? Well, split screening. Congresswoman Presley was at one of these rallies against President Trump and Elon Musk for exposing all of the stuff that's taking place. And she actually says the quiet part out loud. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to the people around her when she says that she's willing to work with anybody who is serious about censoring the American people. And all of them kind of like, what did she say? And one person in the background, I think they said, yeah, or okay, or something like that. Just one person off at a distance, you can hear him. But the rest of them, like, what did you just say? You're not supposed to say that out loud. And she says it. Let me share this for those of you who have not seen this. And again, last night, I just did a short video. I think it was on YouTube and Facebook only. And I just did a short video on this. If you haven't seen this, you're going to be in for something. You're probably going to go, what did she just say? Listen.
Look, let me tell you something. I'll take a bit of umbrage here. I'll speak on behalf of my colleagues. I think I can say.
Now, again, I'm sorry to stop it. She's speaking on behalf of her colleagues, okay? She's not making a mistake in what she's saying here. I do apologize for stopping it. It's really short. Here we go.
Look, let me tell you something. I'll take a bit of umbrage here. I'll speak on behalf of my colleagues. I think I can say we are all willing to work with anyone who's serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress. But they are not serious.
Did you see that? One person in the background said, that's right. Now, you see how they all responded to that? And the white guy right there, as soon as she said it, he kind of like look at her like, what? No one cheered it on. One person said, that's right. About censoring the American people. And none of them came out and said, no, that's not what we're about. We don't want to censor the American people. And I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with liberals, Demoncrats, and they said that we're not for censoring people. No one is getting censored. No one's getting censored. That's not happening. It's almost like because the Democrat Party doesn't have leadership, they don't have any direction. They're going every which way but loose. They're just saying the quiet part out loud now. They want people to rally behind them in censoring the American people. It's just bizarre world, right? So I just wanted to play that for those of you who haven't seen it. This is really amazing, right? Listen, I mean, just listen. I couldn't believe it when I first saw it. I was like, wait a minute, is this real?
We are all willing to work with anyone who's serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress.
So in order to advance progress, you have to censor the American people. Wow, you can take her off the screen, take it off the screen. Wow. I mean, just absolutely wow. Okay, let's get to talking about some more of this Doge issue, right? It is becoming an issue not for the American people, because they're actually telling all of us what they've been doing. And I really don't understand this. I thought, Democrats, liberals, progressives, they all come across like they know what's best. They all come across like they're so intelligent. Like the rest of us, we don't know any better. We're just naive. We're in a cult because we just follow whatever President Trump says, according to the liberals, right? According to them. But in this case, when we find out that money's going out that shouldn't be going out for fraudulent stuff, what do they say? I don't even know if it's even true. Is it even true that fraudulent money's been going out? Wasteful money? Is it even true? Where's the truth of it? Where's the truth? Can you show the proof? Can you show the proof? This is what they're saying. Just like everything else. When you go out there and you tell the truth about something, what do the Democrats do? They come and say, well, that might not even be true. Or I'm surprised they haven't said this. Well, we found out that you spent $50 million in condoms in the Gaza Strip. And they go, well, but that's your truth. That's your truth. We don't know if it's when it actually went out there. And Elon Musk was asked about the $50 million of condoms. And then they said it went out for because it went out to the Taliban because they were like creating bombs with them or something like that. Well, come to find out, it was a different group in the Gaza Strip that was receiving $50 million in condoms. And even then, but the problem here is that the left goes, well, you said XYZ, but it actually wasn't that, but it was still $50 million for condoms. That shouldn't even go out. But let me play this one before we get to that. Listen to this, because Scott Jennings, and I really do like Scott Jennings. This is the only reason why I do any commentary on the Communist News Network or any of them, but mainly because of the Communist News Network, I do any commentary is because of Scott Jennings. And I played this clip, split screen it. I played this clip for my producer earlier, and she was just like, what did you say, Shannon? That Scott Jennings must have the same trait that I have?
Yeah, because he I don't know how he stands these liberals, right? They attack him, and he still is cool. He's calm, and I couldn't do it.
I mean, I wish I could go sit on the panel with him.
I would lose all my hair.
I mean, okay, but listen to this. Watch this.
Yeah.
Couple things. Number one, you guys are way out over your skis with accusations and innuendo. You have no way. I mean, what you're essentially alleging would be the biggest corruption in any of our lifetimes. You have no way in the world of making those accusations in a credible way, but yet you're out here doing it, number one. Number two, on the Treasury
I just wanted
Department.
just to clarify, because I also think you're accusing me of saying that these things are happening. I'm just saying.
No,
we
did you
don't
hear
know-
what they just said?
Well, no,
They literally
what
just
I'm saying
accused
is
I was going to let you
Elon Musk
finish.
of
The biggest
I was gonna let
corruption
you-
we've ever
but I
seen.
was gonna hold on, Bakari. Scott, what I said was that Elon Musk's companies were being investigated by the government. The people
Fact.
investigating him have been fired. Their
Fact.
offices disbanded. Those are both facts. So the question is, how do we know that Elon is not benefiting from it? And the answer is we don't know.
But
would
if you're
acknowledge
going to
that we
accuse
don't
me
know.
of that, please, Scott, tell me what I said that was incorrect.
You just said that Elon Musk is working at the behest of the president in what would amount to the biggest corruption scheme to enrich
What did
himself
I say that was
we've
incorrect?
ever seen. And I
Was
just,
he
I
under-
just think,
was
I
he-
think you're out over your skis. I
Was
don't
he
think you know
under?
that.
Was he under investigation by the FAA?
I think you guys are
Was he
overblowing
under
it.
investigation by?
Before you
but let
blanket
me
you
finish.
guys, I made it very clear based on images and data and the transparency that we have that USAID's resources that have been halted in place are resulting in
And why?
massive waste.
And why?
So-
Because Marco
so what
Rubio
should
issued
be-
a waiver. He issued
so
a
what
waiver on
should
the
be
first day
done
for all
with the fact
humanitarian
that-
and medicine.
But we're-
So
right
why
now-
aren't they delivering it?
Right now-
Whose fault is it? He
because
issued a waiver.
We
Marco Rubio issued a waiver. So there's actually, which I didn't know this until Scott Jennings brought this up, that there's still aid funding from USAID still going out. But it's actual aid that's going out. And for some reason, the liberals are blocking it. Isn't that interesting, Shannon? So when USAID, and if you go to the what used to be the website, it has the US in one, and I think in red, and then it has AID in blue, if I'm not mistaken. And if you just go on there, if we weren't talking about it before, you would read it as US aid. But Marco Rubio actually is allowing actual aid to go out to help. But apparently it looks like the Demoncrats are blocking it. The Demoncrats are blocking it from the way it looks. Now, you remember I just told you how the Demoncrats are on here saying, I don't know if it's true, if all the wasteful spending is actually happening, but it is true. And they know that is true. They know 100% that is true. But of course, just like everything else, they want to jump on there and try to defend the wasteful spending. And now they're denying it that it even took place.
What you're not showing here, Musk gave 7 specific examples off the top of his head of where the corruption and fraud were. I know you didn't play the clips. He was talking about a contractor that had a 3-month contract. He was paid for 20 years. He was talking about welfare benefits that were being paid to someone that was technically 150 years old. He was talking about line items in the treasury that had no justification.
There's no any actual, like he doesn't present any actual evidence.
Well, he's standing there in the Oval Office. Do you expect him to come in with 10,000 pages? And I have to be clear, to complain about this.
See, I'm sorry. I have to stop it there really quick. You see Anderson Cooper come out. Well, he didn't come with any evidence. He didn't come with any evidence. And he's right. oh, Elon Musk was supposed to show up with 10,000 pages to show all of it. There's no way. There's no way. And I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a lot of people that say, well, you can't trust Elon Musk. I don't know Elon Musk. I'm on the fence about Elon Musk. And that's fine. That's fine. That's 100% fine. But I trust Elon Musk more than I do the Demoncrats. 100%. Now, Elon Musk, he may be a bad guy at the end of the day, but I don't need to hang out with Elon Musk. There's nothing, Elon Musk doesn't control anything. All he's doing is reporting to President Trump. He's just telling President Trump, hey, look, this is what we found. And President Trump is the one ultimately saying, shut it down. Stop the payment from going out, which he has every right to do.
Administration about transparency. When this president takes open questions on a daily basis, yet Joe Biden didn't show up for a press conference in 6 months, is insane.
Well,
These
no,
guys are being extremely transparent. They don't have to sit there and take the questions, but they do. It's all on the website. It's all out there.
It's not transparency to say things that have no factual background. I mean, to say we're cutting, we've found $1 billion or $1 trillion in waste with no specifics, that's just talk. That's not transparency.
It's 23 days in here, guys. 23 days. You're talking about 2.3 billion that was saved last year. These guys are saving 2.3 billion a day.
Right, but
it's incredible.
That's what they're saying. But where's the proof?
You're waiting. You're not going to be satisfied till he shows up with 10,000 pages.
He's giving very specific things,
yes, he's giving
but
very
he's not
specific
actually giving any evidence of that.
It's all going to come because what they also said was, if we have to go to Congress, we'll go to Congress.
Right, but
we'll show where
some of the details that have come out, like the $59 million spent on luxury hotels, it's actually not
You're talking about the FEMA money that was abused for migrants.
Yeah.
FEMA money for migrants. That's okay now.
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. Don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be a dick. The portray. What I'm saying is the portrayal by him.
Whoa. I mean, whoa. Really? Really? $54 million for a hotel that went to immigrants in New York City just went out a couple of days ago. And remember, when Mayorkas was there under Joe Biden, Mayorkas said there was no FEMA money. So where did this $54 million come from? Where did it come from? How did they get the $54 million all of a sudden to send? And the reason why they sent it is because they wanted to undermine President Trump. To my understanding, the lady that oversaw that, she's been fired. She's been relieved of duty. No, I mean, seriously. And the Demoncrats, they want to make sure that all of their fellow Demoncrats remain in these political positions inside of the government. And every position in the government is a political position, regardless on how people look at it, because these people are in there because they have an agenda. They're either working for the American people or they're working against the American people. And everyone that is a Democrat in the government right now is working against the American people. And I can say that because they're not trying to prevent the wasteful spending. They're not wanting President Trump to be successful. And President Trump's success means that America would be great again. Speaking of that, America being great again, did you know that when they had this hearing today and the Demoncrats were like, their goal going into the hearing, the Doge hearing, was to not work with the Republicans at all. So the Republicans find wasteful spending. The Democrats' goal is to ignore the wasteful spending and just shut Doge down. They don't want it to exist. Here's a prime example of this. Here's a Democrat representative going on MSDNC, and he openly says that he is not interested in working with Marjorie Taylor Greene or any of the Republicans at all. He's not interested. I thought they were the party of inclusivity. I thought they were the party of diversity. I thought they were the party of we want to get along. What happened to all of that? Oh, that was a lie. Listen.
Well, look, we've tried. And I think that this committee and our larger oversight committee has even tried to get Elon Musk to come
to testify that's been blocked by the Republicans. And so a lot of that's being negotiated still, but as of right now, we're prepared today to go in and ask and answer some really tough questions. We want to see Elon Musk, but we're also going to call out the corruption. We're going to call out the fact that we have essentially an unelected billionaire with almost as much power as the president of the United States. And I think we're going to bring the fire today. And so I think even though we don't have all the power that we would like, we're going to use every minute that we are given at this hearing to call out the corruption, the lies, and I think we're going to bring the fire today.
So they're going to spend all the time to call up the corruption, the lies. They're going to do everything they can. So what corruption is taking place? In their eyes, the corruption is that they're exposing all of the corruption. That is corruption.
And how dishonest is it to say that Elon Musk has almost as much power as President Trump? That's not true at all. But you know, they say these things and that just to trigger the American people's emotions to think, oh my gosh, someone other than Trump is running the country. See, we already dealt with that under the Biden regime. We all know that Biden was not running this country, that the people behind the scenes were running this country. He didn't even know some of the things that were happening that supposedly were decisions of his. So the threat that we actually had with Biden, they're literally placing on this Trump administration like, well, you did what we did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, because literally they're explaining what happened under Biden administration, and they fear that is happening under Trump administration, even though it's clearly not.
And this is exactly, it's a great example of what I've been saying. The reason why people believe that President Trump will possibly do it because they've been seeing the Democrats do it all this time. And they ignored it. They knew that it was happening. They saw it happening, but they ignored it. They put on blinders. And now the Democrats are going, oh, look, this is what Trump is going to do. Even though they had on these blinders and looking down and seeing what all the Democrats are doing, they go, but Trump is the one going to do this. We've already done it, so you need to believe that it will actually happen because we've been doing it. It's ridiculous. Hey, so we got a couple people to give us some pills, Shannon, on pill.net.
Yes, we have Country Girl
Country Girl
007. Thank you very much. And we have Dondo that also contributed. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for that. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, I got another one I want to share with you. And of course, this is not normal times. I've heard so many people in politics say that this has never happened in the history of this country. The federal government is actually getting an audit. And the Democrats don't want an audit to take place because their cash cow is going away. They want people to continue to just, support the Democrat Party while they shovel money out. This is what they're looking for. This is what they want. I find it highly interesting that these Democrats that constantly scream saying that they're wanting to help the American people, but every time it comes to something to actually benefit the American people, they want to step on it. They don't want it to be successful. How do these people grow up as kids and then young adults? Were they always like this, or did something between a bottle in their mouth and becoming a House representative or a senator, did something in between there happen to where their minds just went completely south and kicked reality out the window? What happened? What is that about? Here's a prime example. Here's a Democrat on the floor saying that none of this is normal. The American people don't want normal. The American people are sick and tired of you taking our money and just blowing it on whatever. We're sick and tired of it. So of course it's not normal. We don't want normal. We don't want the establishment. We don't want the elites. We don't want it anymore. I don't know if anybody actually ever wanted it, but we're tired of it. I can't tell you how many people like on TikTok and on X, and how and just these short videos and Instagram, how all these people are saying that were looking and they were Democrats, and they said, hold on, wait a minute. Now it's really hitting home for them too, because now they're realizing that the Democrats keep wanting to take their money, and the Democrats keep screaming about Elon Musk trying to take all the money. It doesn't make sense. Listen to this, because she says she went to Mike Johnson's office to get answers.
This is not normal. We're not having a normal session.
Really?
Mr. Speaker, the House is on fire. The House is on fire. There is nothing legal or constitutional that is going on. We have unelected billionaires running the country. And this is not a political grab for power. It's a crime. I marched into our Speaker of the House's office to try to meet with the Treasury Secretary to ask them why they were committing crimes, why there was unchecked authority over Treasury data, to stop doing it, why they needed to do this, why they needed to surveil, penalize, or control this financial access. And the Speaker told me he had no idea what they were doing. The Speaker of the House does not know what they are doing. We need to stop acting like things are normal. It is not normal.
Did you want normal, Shannon? Did you want the same thing that they've been doing year after year after year after year? Did you want normal?
Yeah.
This is the first time we've actually had a president come in and actually keeping his promises.
And I want to say
Like
this.
it's never happened before.
I don't know if you noticed, but she said unelected billionaires. Like Trump wasn't elected.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is, oh my gosh, these people are so deceived by the evil spirit in Washington, D.C. They actually believe their lies, and then they feed it out to the American people. This is so irresponsible. And Will, you said it, and I've said it before too. There should be consequences when they lie to the American
When they're blatantly
people.
lying. Because they're in a different positions, right?
And it should be more than just, okay, we hold them accountable by voting them out. Because the problem is their constituents believe in them. They believe that what they're saying is true, and they're literally being dishonest.
Blatantly dishonest. Blatantly dishonest. Hey, let me tell you about this. Hey, if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Please hit the thumbs up. It really helps with the algorithm. Same thing on Rumble. Hit the thumbs up. Please hit the thumbs up. And on Facebook, please hit the heart. Hit that heart button. Hit the heart. And on Pill, give me a pill. Give me a pill. I really would appreciate it. I really would appreciate it. Hey, let me tell you about this. Where is it at? This positive. Have you heard about that? Can we talk about that? Positive. I used to be, when I was younger, I used to be a dog lover myself. And I mean, I really do like dogs. I still do. Maybe one day when I become an old man, I might get a dog, you know. Who knows? But if you have a dog, we've all been there, right? Our pups goes and from full energy to sick and miserable in an instance. We've seen it happen. I've seen it happen, and at the worst time even. Then we're calling vets in the middle of the night or on the weekend trying to find a clinic that will take us in. So it was a terrible time. It is a terrible way to manage your dog's health, not to mention your stress level and your monthly budget. Oh my goodness, yes. That's why people are getting the pet emergency kit by Positive. I like how that is, Positive. It contains critical medication and supplies that not only can keep you out of the veterinary office, but may even save your dog's life. Their kit contains critical medication like activated chronicle septic. how you say that? Powder, septepic powder, and more. It might save your dog's life. Head over to positive.com and use code STUDIO to get 15% off your pet emergency kit. That is positive, positive.com, positive.com. Use promo code STUDIO to get 15% off. And you can see it right there on the screen. Right there on the screen. You can see it right there. Go ahead. You can see the link right there as well. And go ahead and if you're on your mobile phone, you're watching this on the television, just scan that. Dog lovers, go check it out. Go check it out. Okay. Now, I wanted to do that little break and then get back to this here. This is the most disturbing thing. No, well, not the most. One of the most disturbing things that I've seen Demoncrats do. Demoncrats have no character. They think that do they even have any creativity? Do they even have any creativity? I don't think they have any creativity either. Because, they put those kitty cat hats on their heads. That's not really creative. And then the signs that they do, it's not really creative at all. But I want you to listen to these group of liberals because they're upset with President Trump and Elon Musk. They created a song. How many of y'all seen this? Now, I'm just kind of curious. Before I do it, I'm just going to look in the comments. I'm looking in the comments right now. How many of y'all have seen this? All right, better yet, better question is how many of you have heard this? How many of you have heard this? It's pretty bizarre. It's pretty bizarre. You ready for it? Are you ready for it? Listen to this. I'm not going to play all of it because it's cringe. It's worse than government cheese.
Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on?
Oh my goodness.
Which side are you on? We'll fight against Doge. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon scab within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are
my
you
goodness.
on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Trump's coming for our unions. He wants us all to fail. He wants us to bow to him, but we want him in jail. Oh, which side are you on?
Oh my goodness, talking about cringe. And the other people in the background trying to sing along like they've heard the song before. It's like karaoke gone bad.
This is one way you control people is by singing. Like literally you manipulate their minds.
Oh my
You
goodness.
come up with the saying and people actually sing it and believe it. It's a way of manipulation.
Which side are you on?
Well, you know what? I'm on the side of America. I'm on the side of President Trump. I'm on the side of reality. I'm on the side of righteousness. This here, I mean, really, they're actually don't want you to be on the side of protecting girls in spaces. They don't want you to be on that side. They want you to be on the opposite side of that. I mean, what is going through their minds? Have they always been this way? I mean, think about it. When they were sucking on the bottle when they were babies, did something change at some point to get them to start doing this? What happened? See, I'm under the impression that when you're kids, you do stuff like this. You're on the playground, you're 7, you're 8, maybe even 9. And then you start getting older. You become a teenager and you start growing out of it a little bit. And then when you become adult, you start paying bills and you realize that this right here is not the answer. You become an adult. You're supposed to grow out of this childness. You're supposed to. But nonetheless, here they are.
Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? They say in the capital city there are no neutrals.
Why are you doing this to us?
You're either with the union or a scabby Musk bloodhound. Oh, which side?
Oh my goodness. Okay, you can get off the screen. I mean, come on. It doesn't even make any sense. You know, most songs actually have a good melody, or is, you know, when you're singing, it's almost like poetry. Music is poetry. It is poetry. You know, a lot of it, not all of it, but a great deal of it kind of rhymes. You know, for the poetry of it all, it's supposed to flow that way. But in this case, it doesn't flow. There's no flow. Let me show you something that is slightly more positive, and I'm highly surprised to hear this coming from this person. USAID, which became the number one gotcha game for the Demoncrats, and when it got shut down, they were all upset about it. And you know what? My producer actually saw this story, USAID, before it got to the point to where it is now. We were actually the first ones. Shannon, I don't think anyone else broke the news about USAID before us.
Yeah, I don't recall either.
Right? Because you went to the USAID website and you got the information right here. No one was talking about it. No one was talking about it.
Of how they were shutting it down.
And how they were shutting it down.
Yeah.
We were talking about it. And of course, you know, once it goes viral and everybody else talking about it, and we're like, oh, I think Will Johnson talked about it, but you know, everyone else is talking about it now. We talked about it. But listen to Lindsey Graham here. You can bring him over. Listen to Lindsey Graham as he's asked a question about USAID.
Have you spoken to President Trump about USAID? And what do you think about the way that agency has been dismantled without much notice, ability to plan around the world?
Well, USAID, under scrutiny, did poorly. I've been a big advocate for soft power. I'm a pretty hawkish guy, but I've been in charge of the 150 account, state foreign ops account, making sure the State Department is funded to the men and women of the State Department. You're warriors in your own way. You serve in very dangerous places. I want you to have secure embassies and secure consulates. You represent the best of America. USAID is an agency that let us all down. I've been advocating for soft power for my entire time up here. And what I have seen makes me sick to my stomach. I am for helping starving people. I am for clean water. I am for making sure that we have ability to combat China and Africa, that we show up with the best of America. But Samantha Powers has been just texting me morning, noon, and night. Samantha, look in the mirror. The reason USAID is going to cease to exist as it did before is because it should. I can't go home and say, this is soft power. Operas, whatever agenda you got, needs to be focused on making America safer and prosperous for working with people. So USAID is a victim of their own excesses.
I was kind of surprised to hear him say that. Because, you know, most of the time he's on the side. I mean, he's like one of those, he's a straight up rhino. He's a straight up rhino. But I was surprised that he was saying, you know, what he said about USAID and Elon Musk doing what he's doing and President Trump. I just figure I'd play that for you. Now, here's one where Elon Musk, where I wanted you to, what I was talking about earlier when we first started, where one of the reporters was asking Elon Musk about the $50 million in condoms. This is the one, right, Shannon? Is this the one here? Oh, okay. Okay, this is not the one here then. There was one where he was asked a question. I thought we got that one, where he was asked a question about the $50 million in condoms going overseas. And Elon Musk went and said that, I thought I got that one. No, I don't think so. Because there is no, bring it back. There is a video where Elon Musk was asked a question about him taking over the government. Here, let me just play it. Watch.
Everyone's very quiet, by the way. So,
Your-
are people normally this quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
What?
Including a lot of Democrats,
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all,
Let me stop it really quick. A hostile takeover of the federal government. I wish he would have came out and said, the reason why you know everything that we are doing right now because the transparency that is taking place. You don't do a hostile takeover and you let everybody know what you're doing. That's not a hostile takeover. That's transparency. This is what the people wanted. But listen how he responds to that.
well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted. We have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We won the House. We won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
That's what it's all about. But at the same time, we are a constitutional republic, but we do utilize democracy in the country. As far as at the state levels, we utilize democracy 100% because majority rules, right? At the state level, all of the people who vote, whoever wins the popular vote in the state level, they get the electoral vote. Then those electoral votes go up to the federal level. And that's where the constitutional republic comes into play. But the American people overwhelmingly voted for President Trump. And the reason why we can say that is because President Trump won the popular vote. Throughout the entire country, he won the popular vote as well. So there is a mandate. And because of the mandate, the Democrats are wanting to act like the mandate is not even there. They don't want President Trump and Elon Musk to continue doing what they're doing. That's the only reason why the Democrats showed up to the hearing today, because they wanted to shut it down. They wanted to shut it down. And they're still trying to get Elon Musk to go before them and take on questions. And they're not going to have any questions about his findings at Doge. They're not going to ask him anything about that. You know what they'll ask him? Don't you think you should step down from Tesla? Don't you think you should step down from SpaceX? Don't you think you should step down from Neuralink? Don't you think you should step down from, Starlink? Don't you think you should step down from all of these companies that are doing wonderful? So you're no longer able to. Shouldn't you step down from Twitter, X? Shouldn't you step down from all of that? Because you're working for President Trump. You see, the thing is, Elon Musk's position is temporary. It is strictly temporary. He's there to show President Trump all of the fraudulent stuff that the Democrats have been doing. That's all he's there for. He's the show me man. He's showing them. He's showing the American people. And of course, they don't want him doing that. They want to shut him down. Their main goal is to shut him down. That's all they want to do. Can I get a show of hands of people who want the IRS to go away? I'm the only one raising my hand in here. I guess they want the IRS to remain, because I'm the only one raising my hands in the studio. I guess they don't pay taxes, so I don't know what that is. But listen to Senator Kennedy as he's talking about the IRS. Listen.
It strikes me as breathtakingly ironic. The cynic might say cynical, that the people who are screaming so loudly about President Trump's decision to audit federal spending are the very same people under President Biden who who wanted to hire 80,000 new IRS agents with guns to audit the American people. As I've said before, if it weren't for double standards, there wouldn't be any standards at all in this town. The battle lines are drawn, Mr. President. The battle lines are drawn. Some of my colleagues have decided to support the bureaucracy and the spending porn over the American taxpayer. That's what they've done. And some of the same people, it's not just my Democratic colleagues, there are many people in Washington, D.C. that have grouped together and they've circled the wagons and they've decided to support the spending porn and the bureaucrats over the American taxpayer. That's their right. It's not against the law or unconstitutional to be foolish in America. But these are the same people. These are the same people who chose to support illegal immigration over the rule of law.
Same people. Same people. I don't understand. Same people. Same people. I don't get it. Why do we have to continue going down this path like this? Democrats, they want to take from the working man and woman in this country. They want to take from us. And now that President Trump is saying, no, you're no longer going to take from the American people. And they use the IRS. And remember, this is the same IRS that the Democrats were utilizing. They wanted 87,000 armed IRS agents to come and nickel and dime everyone to make sure they can bring more money in to apply it to these woke programs that they were pushing. That was their goal. That was the whole agenda. And they're not even hiding the fact that's what they were doing. Not even hiding it at all. So, did you get it, Shannon? I want to show the one where Elon Musk. Here, let me do it. I get it. I got it. I'll do it. So, I want to show the one where Elon Musk was talking about where I talked about the $50 million. So apparently, remember, Shannon, when the story first came out about the $50 million for condoms in the Gaza Strip, and they were saying that they were using them to make, little explosives and stuff like that. Well, that wasn't accurate. And Elon Musk even admits to it. And I love the way he explains this. He goes, look, not everything, you don't bat, I think he used a baseball analogy. You don't bat 1,000 every time. The ball comes, you don't hit it. You don't bat 1,000 every time. He says you're going to get stuff wrong. And he said, look, and if I get something wrong, by all means, I should be called out on it.
And by the way,
who says that?
He literally said not everything is properly labeled, and they're trying to trace where everything is going.
Yeah,
so it is difficult.
But the point is, he says he's admitting, say, okay, this information was wrong, rightfully so, and we called it out. He says if something is called, if we get something wrong, we should be called out for it, and it should be corrected. That's how you get rockets in space. You understand? That's how you get rockets in space. If you do the math and come to find out you build a rocket and the rocket blows up and say, wait a minute, we just can't say, well, no, the math is right. We did it right. We did it right. No, you go, wait a minute, we made a mistake. We go back and we look at it again and we've corrected. I mean, it's not even, that part is not even rocket science. Listen to it. Here it is right here. I thought this was really good.
Serious, funny.
Mr. Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas actually. it was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Okay, before he responds, for you hear this beautiful response, I got to say this. Why is it more important that he made an incorrect statement versus the $50 million in condoms going out? Shouldn't that be the question here? $50 million in condoms? Why are we concerned? I mean, look, let them purchase their own condoms. Why are we purchasing $50 million in condoms? Here, listen.
Can't trust what you say.
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms, if you think about it. If it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
Why are we doing that? That should be the question. Well, you made a statement that it was for this and it went to this, but that's what we're concerned about how you relate the information. Not upset about $50 million in condoms even going out in the first place. 50 million taxpayer dollars. That's not the concern. It's not the concern that, you robbed the bank. The problem is you told the people who robbed the bank. We're not concerned about them robbing the bank. We're just concerned that you told us who robbed the bank. What is wrong with these people? And they want to do this because they want to deflect. They want to deflect from what's actually happening and from the truth. Thank you for getting that, Shannon. So here's something that I want to tell everybody about, and I'm really, really excited about this. Y'all lean in real quick. Come here, lean in. I got that from my pastor. I changed church, and my pastor, he said, lean in. Come here, lean in. I want y'all to lean in and listen to what I'm talking about here, because this is something that is absolutely brilliant in my opinion. And I'm all about this, and this is something that I'm doing, and everybody else. Look, y'all need to pay attention. Do I got your attention? Smart money strategy. Have you heard of this? Warren Buffett just invested over $50 billion in energy. Are you aware of this? Billionaire Ken Griffin increased his oil investments by 150%. Even Elon Musk says we can't live without oil. But here's what Wall Street isn't telling you. There's a smarter way to profit from oil than buying stocks. This is wonderful news, people. I'm all about this. It's a unique investment that lets you collect monthly royalty checks from America's richest oil fields. And Trump is talking about drill, baby, drill. I'm all about this. You're not buying shares in a company. And this is so good. You're getting direct ownership in oil producing properties. And you can start with just $25. You don't have to go in and okay, you have to have $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to get in. No, you can get in with $25. This is like for people like Will Johnson, for all of us. I mean, imagine. So those of you who can't put in there, oh my goodness, Trump is talking about drilling everybody. Think about what I'm telling you here. You can learn more about this #1 oil royalty play for 2025 at JohnsonOilBoom.com. Got it right there. My producer got it right there in the lower third. JohnsonOilBoom.com to discover how to collect monthly oil royalty checks starting today. Come on. I mean, I don't think I've ever been so excited for a program like this one. And the reason why I am, because President Trump has been keeping all of his promises. When President Trump said he's going to do something, he's been doing it. He says he's going to do it. He's been doing it. So go to JohnsonOilBoom.com. Go check it out. Read up the information on it. I mean, look, this is like for all of us. For all of us. And I was telling my producer, I said, man, this is so good. I mean, look, I participate in everything that I promote. I really do. But this one, I'm like really jumping up and down about. I really am. So go check it out. Go read up on it. JohnsonOilBoom.com. JohnsonOilBoom.com. Talking about how President Trump is wanting to keep all of his promises. Let me show you this short video before we get out of here. Here's another example of President Trump keeping his promise. Joe Biden could have done this. Joe Biden could have looked like a hero to the country. We go, well, we don't like Joe, but at least he did this. Joe Biden didn't even do this.
So often politicians make promises, and we know a promise was made to your mother. How does it make you feel that 2 weeks in, they followed through with the promise that they made?
He was true to his word. It's amazing. It's just such a different relationship. And I'm just so incredibly grateful to the president.
Wow. So President Trump said he would bring him home. And within the first 2 weeks, for 2 to 3 weeks, President Trump kept his promise. And he was in a Russian prison, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He was in a Russian prison, and President Trump brought him home.
Yeah, and supposedly
How did this happen?
Biden said he would try to bring him home.
No,
and he
actually,
never
Biden
did.
said it was a little too difficult.
Yeah, it was a little too difficult.
There's a whole bunch of working parts in all of this, and I couldn't do it.
And
It
Trump
just
got it
never
done in
worked
2
out.
weeks.
And
2.5
President Trump
weeks.
made a phone call. Put him on the plane right now. Okay, Mr. President. And they're still talking negotiations and stuff about ending the war in Ukraine and Russia. That's still going on, right? But President Trump said, release him now. I need for you to release him. And Putin released him. I think this is the same guy that when Tucker went over there and was talking to Putin about releasing him, if I'm not mistaken, when Joe Biden was in office. But Joe Biden, because I think he was saying Joe Biden can, Putin, don't hold me to it, but if I remember correctly, in the interview, Putin was telling Tucker Carlson, saying Joe Biden can talk to me, we can talk. But apparently Joe Biden doesn't care about Americans being in harm's way. Just like President Trump is saying, for all of those hostages that are in the Gaza Strip, you have until Saturday, high noon. He's giving them till Saturday, high noon. So you mean to tell me that President Trump kept his promise here? You don't think that he's going to keep his promise? He's been keeping his promise about changing and fixing the government. He's been keeping his promises. Promises made, promises kept. They see President Trump keeping his promise to us, the American people. Keeping his promise. Okay. We're getting ready to get out of here. Hey, I want to say thank you so much for everyone. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up. You're watching on Rumble, please hit the thumbs up. Same thing, you're watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up. And now, just to let you know, I've been working really hard trying to get my YouTube channel, back in good standing. And it is in good standing, but I've been working trying to get my YouTube channel back to the point to where people can bless me. And that has happened. People can send me super chats, as well as the monetization. And they sent me an email yesterday saying I can do it. And when I would go live at this time, since I got my YouTube channel back, it would go about like 70 people, 80 people. Then it started going over 100 people, 125 people. And today would not go over 25 people. Is that just a coincidence?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Is it a coincidence? Have y'all noticed anything about that? Someone said my volume is low on my audio. It should be coming through. Should be coming through because I've been working on it. The audio, I can see the audio meters right now and they're pretty loud. So, but I will go check it though. I will go check it after this. All right, everybody. That's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tomorrow, right here, same time, unless there's a hearing or something, but I don't think there's a hearing. But, before we get off, Tulsi Gabbard. Do we have the final count? Yeah, to my understanding, they were supposed to do it today at 12. I think at 12:30.
It says on Fox News, President Trump lands key Gabbard confirmation. So it looks like she's been confirmation.
Nice. There it is.
Nice.
So now we need to get Cash Patel in there and then game on. All right, everybody. God bless you. See you tomorrow
And
right
RFK.
here. Don't forget. Don't forget. Oh, let me look at Pilled real quick before we go out. All right. Thank you so much. Hey, hit that peel button. Peel this video. Peel it. Peel it. God bless everyone. See you tomorrow.